Welcome back, everyone. Let's just keep it short, alright? If you saw my previous video on Netflix's Devil May Cry adaptation, then you'll know that the last time we covered how the show handled itself as an adaptation of the Devil May Cry series. So today, we're going to be covering why people like the Devil May Cry franchise to begin, because that's important to understand what they like about it and why changing those things would have a negative impact on the show. Alright, well, now with the intro out of the way, let's jackpot. Devil May Cry has always been more of a niche series in the gaming sphere, with DMC5 really being the only widely popular game. It's the best selling game in the series, and it still pushes units consistently year after year. So the question stands, what keeps drawing people to DMC, and why do they stick around? Which is exactly what we're going to be discussing today. Devil May Cry. I mean, where do we even begin?
Let's rock, baby.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. With a legacy of over 20 years, 5 games, a couple of light novels, 2 animes, and 1 reboot behind it, Devil May Cry has gained a semi-small but dedicated fan base that was enamored by the characters' writing, gameplay, and overall style that this franchise brought to the table. DMC1 was a well-received game on the PS2, but outside of the niche, it wasn't really super well known, though it did lay the foundations for Hideki Itsuno to come along and rework it into what we now know the franchise as. If we're going to talk about why people like Devil May Cry, we need to talk about Hideki Itsuno as well. He first joined the series as a producer and director on Devil May Cry 2 in the late stages of development because the project was in shambles and Capcom removed the previous director for their showcase of complete incompetence.
Has freed us!
Oh, I wouldn't say free. More like under new management.
Putting together whatever pieces they had of a game into what we know as Devil May Cry 2. But even Hideki Itsuno's direction couldn't save that sinking ship of a game. And I mean, above all else, it's just a trash game in general. Refusing to have that be his mark left on the series, Hideki Itsuno asked Capcom for another opportunity to make a Devil May Cry game, and he was granted permission to make Devil May Cry 3. Which in my opinion is where the series really gets started. DMC3 introduces many things that the Devil May Cry series is now known for, such as weapon switching, multiple styles, over-the-top crazy cutscenes, and of course, Hideki Itsuno's Dante. While he didn't create Dante, this specific version of Dante is the one that most are familiar with, and for good reason. I mean, he's totally awesome. It's so interesting to me how well Dante works in his world. I mean, you have these drab, dreary, gothic spaces and city ruins, right? Complemented by demon designs that are straight out of Dante's Inferno. Wow, I put that in the script. Whatever. Contrasted by this modern, young, flashy guy flipping all over the place and cracking corny one-liners while eating pizza. He clashes with his environment because he's the polar opposite of it. It's something that immediately makes him stand out and, for lack of a better word, kind of gives him aura in my opinion. I mean, you watch Dante act like this cool guy and you just think that's so freaking rad, right? It's something that hadn't been seen in gaming yet. An overpowered character who knew just how strong he was, and the gameplay isn't any different. With the skill-based combat system, players were enticed to get better at the game and learn Dante's moves in order to pull off the same crazy combos that he would in cutscenes. This genre is now known as the character action genre, where the gameplay is directly tied to the character's personality. Dante's moves are flashy and stylish because that's how Dante would act. So at higher skill levels, the player becomes closer to emulating how Dante himself would be playing the game. Combine this with one banger soundtrack. I mean, Devil's Never Cry is iconic for a reason, and Divine Hate stays in my regular rotation. It's no wonder why the Devil May Cry fanbase, while small, was incredibly drawn into this game. Like, I mean, imagine showing a grocery store to a Victorian-era child. I mean, of course, they'd be obsessed with it, right? And that's kind of what this was. And each game after that just continued to build more and more on what fans loved so much about 3. It's easy to see how DMC4 and DMC5 kept drawing in new players. DMC4 was the first cross-platform release in the franchise, featuring a new character and, in my opinion, what is Dante's best appearance in the entire franchise. His antics are cranked up to 10 because at this point in the series, he's practically a god among men, and his character arc has been complete for quite some time in-universe. So he comes into Fortuna knowing full well that no matter what happens, he's got the upper hand. He doesn't take anything too seriously, and it shows. I love his interactions with all the members of the Order, especially Agnes, a crazed scientist who studies demons in order to gain the demonic power for himself and for his higher-ups. And he's now put face to face with the most powerful person in the world who returns his unhinged ramblings with equally unhinged, goofy banter.
Humans. They are but stubborn and foolish. It takes a journey to hell for them to accept and praise their God. A fact that tickles Irony's judgment.
And your judgments interest me not. For I am here to reclaim what is rightfully mine.
On the gameplay side, DMC4 cracks DMC3's system wide open. There's no more barrier. You can switch between all weapons and guns at once, and you can switch between all 4 styles, as well as adding a brand new 5th style that you can unlock. It did record numbers for the series, and introduced a whole new player base to Devil May Cry.
What the hell is this?
Which bolstered its influence. Everything players liked about 3 was improved upon, and then they were given a new character as well to sink their teeth into. Paired with new mechanics like inertia and enemy step, the skill ceiling reached incredible heights. There was something for casual fans and for the more hardcore dedicated fans as well. And I mean, do I even need to keep going at this point? Devil May Cry 5 is, in my opinion, the best game in the series. Speaking from a technical standpoint only, it's a near perfect game, and it's the best performing game in the series for that reason. All of this is to say, Devil May Cry is really, really cool. It's connected very, very well with a certain audience, and that's one that's dedicated and willing to stick around. Coming from, obviously, as you can tell, a big fan of Devil May Cry, I hope that gives an insight into what people like about this series and what draws them into it. And now with that out of the way, we can move on to the final frontier and tackle Netflix's DMC on its own merits as a show, removed from the context of the greater Devil May Cry franchise. And we're going to do that, so thank you all for watching. Genuinely, it's super cool. I appreciate it a lot. Consider subscribing if you want to hear more from me for some reason, and have a grand and glorious rest of your day. See y'all next time. Why do I like Devil May Cry?
Nobody asked that.
Well, I like it because you can do this.